Excel in accounting is a double-edged sword. It does not comply with the GoBD, and yet it is, of course, an incredibly popular tool because most of us already have it in some way, and because everyone can use it. And because it is just so incredibly flexible that you can adapt it to your needs. And that is not really possible with a traditional accounting program. And because of this, many self-employed individuals still use Excel for their accounting, even though it is not really acceptable from a legal standpoint. If you're interested in the topic of how you can actually do your accounting with Excel, then feel free to check out the video I linked for you in the top right corner. What you can certainly do in Excel, however, are all the tasks surrounding core accounting. Whether it's documenting individual projects, travel expense reports, calculating additional meal allowances, documenting home office work, and so on. There are so many things you somehow have to do in your accounting that are not able to be done directly in the accounting program. And I would, of course, be completely lying if I said that we don't constantly use Excel in the office. Excel is the most important tool, besides the accounting program. And in this video, I want to introduce you to a tool that can significantly simplify all these tasks, such as these accompanying calculations and documentation around the core accounting. So you can really save a significant amount of time. I have only known this tool for a few weeks. And it's not just that I recommend it in this video, but I also actively use it. And we are currently looking at how we can implement it for all our clients in our firm. And before I talk too much theoretically, I'll just show it to you. And for that, I'll take you to my screen. And I'm talking about the Invoiceraket. Invoiceraket is a plugin for Excel. This means that if you use Microsoft 365 and utilize Excel within this Microsoft 365 package, you can install Invoiceraket. And this Invoiceraket is a small addition to your Excel, and we'll take a look at exactly how it works right now. If you're interested in the whole thing, feel free to click below. On the first link in the video description, there you'll find the website where you can take another look around. Here we want to take a look at the tool in action. So what does this tool actually do? When you install Invoiceraket, you get a small addition here to your toolbar, which enhances your experience. That means I have Excel open here, and up here I see Invoiceraket, right next to Microsoft Copilot. And then I have an Excel spreadsheet. It's really like a normal table. I open it, but I have an additional function here. Namely, on the right side, I see that I can do something with Invoiceraket. If I no longer want it, I can remove it and click it back again. And I see several tabs at the bottom, namely incoming invoice, outgoing invoice, cash, miscellaneous, and transfer. And let's just take a look at what it actually does. Here we see an overview of all the incoming invoices, essentially the business expenses, including invoice date, invoice number, business partner, amount, gross, currency, due date, whether it is paid, my personal note on it, and so on. Each of us maintains such tables to a greater or lesser extent. But how do we maintain such lists? By usually typing these data in somehow. With the Invoiceraket, you don't have to type it all in. You can simply add documents on the right side here, click, and if you have your invoice somewhere, like I do, for example, right in the download folder, I can simply select 4 invoices now and say open. What it's doing right now is uploading these invoices to the Invoiceraket. We can see here the invoices are being processed and directly read. And then we'll take a look at what I can do with them. The invoices are now uploaded to the Invoiceraket. And I see a plus sign everywhere here. This means I can add them, and with the plus, I essentially supplement the list here in the middle. This means it has read the invoices and is now essentially filling my freely editable list, which we'll get to in a moment with the information from these documents. This means I see the invoice date here, 1902, 503, 3101, 2101, and the respective invoice numbers. I see the business partners, Hetzner, OpenAI, Google Cloud, Cleverloan. The amount, the currency. For example, we also see here with OpenAI, the invoice was not in euros, but in US dollars. We see the due date and so on. And if I want to look at the invoice again, I can simply go to the field of the invoice. And then it shows me the corresponding invoice on the right side. Because this invoice was uploaded directly here, it knows for each individual column which invoice is it actually, and can display each one for me. And of course, I can also enlarge it again and check if everything is really correct there. And what I find really exciting is this is not a fixed form where I can somehow document my incoming invoices, but what I can do here is work like in Excel. That means if I need an additional column, I can simply insert it by saying insert rows, and maybe I want to have the IBAN. And then I say I would also like the IBAN to be filled in because, for example, if I am preparing a transfer form, like a collective transfer, I naturally need the IBAN. Then I could insert the IBAN here and other columns like, for example, paid, delete, because I know I am only uploading invoices that I have not yet paid. And then I can ultimately go and simply upload all the invoices that I want to pay right now again. And then it uploads everything as we have just seen and fills in the columns accordingly, at least with the information that is in these invoices. And here I can then add this invoice accordingly again. And we already see A here. The IBAN field, which I just created, is automatically filled in. This means I could now prepare transfers with it. And now, of course, I made a mistake. Now, of course, I accidentally uploaded invoices, uploaded twice. And everyone will be familiar with this, at least if, for example, Alexware does the accounting or works with a tax advisor, that you accidentally upload the same invoices multiple times. Because once you had an email forwarding, then you downloaded it, maybe 1 or 2 employees also have access to the invoice inbox, and then the coordination wasn't so good. And suddenly you have 2 or 3 invoices in the accounting, which of course shouldn't happen. The nice thing now is it's Excel, and we can simply go here and sort by invoice number. And then we can quickly see, the invoice is duplicated and can delete it normally, just as I can do in any Excel spreadsheet. And then I no longer have the duplicates in there. Then I have an overview here that I can freely edit in Excel. And of course, countless applications come to mind. For it, I just mentioned preparing payment proposals. Making transfers is relatively laborious when you have quite a few invoices. What I also do regularly is when I travel to clients for consultations or lectures, I always issue them an invoice for the travel expenses. And breaking down these travel expenses, I admittedly do that once a month when I write my invoices. And that's quite practical here. Here I can upload the train tickets and add a note for each one for which project. That's it. And the nice thing is that I work in Excel here. That means if I want to sum it up, I just say sum, highlight the fields once and say, okay, these were my expenses, my taxi receipt, and so on. And I have a kind of overview of these travel expenses. Ultimately, one has to almost say that this tool does all Excel calculations and templates, and so on, significantly accelerated simply because you can upload and download receipts here. Also, write to the tax office requirements, reminders, and so on. You can simply copy them in there, and the Invoice Rocket is capable of displaying that for you. And what do you do with it? What evaluations, what settlements, what analyses of your best customers in Pivot? And such stuff you can freely decide and do with it because ultimately it's simply Excel. And at this point, 2 more additions for the sake of completeness. You can't just upload the receipts here, as I just did. You can also simply photograph it with your smartphone and then import it. What you can also do is you have an email address. That means you can actually, if you receive an invoice via email, simply forward it to your Excel spreadsheet. And you can share this Excel spreadsheet, which is incredibly exciting in my case, with your colleagues. Because the whole thing runs on Microsoft 365, you can of course share this spreadsheet with colleagues who work in the same company. And they can also upload invoices there. That means it could be your employee. But if you are working on a project with a few colleagues and you want to manage the expenses for the entire project, you can tell your colleagues to upload their invoices, such as train tickets, flight tickets, taxi receipts, and other necessary and relevant documents into the Invoice Rocket for better management and organization. And then one person can access all the invoices and easily review them. This means that you don't have to upload them yourself, but someone must have uploaded them into your shared Excel document for you. I find that very, very exciting. And of course, the question still arises. Now all the invoices are in there. That's all well and good. But I still have to do my accounting somehow. So I actually need the invoices with this information not in Excel because we've already covered that topic. Unfortunately, core accounting cannot be done in Excel. And that's also quite exciting because you can actually forward the whole thing. For example, transfer it to DATEV. And we go to the last tab, which is called Transfer. And you can actually, with one click, export these invoices with the invoice information such as the amount, the date, the invoice partner, and so on. I'll show you an overview of which information is passed on. For example, also to your tax advisor. This means you no longer need DATEV Unternehmen online, but you can actually organize your invoices or yourself in the Invoice Rocket. And when you have uploaded the invoices of a month there, meaning into the Invoice Rocket, you can say once a month, please export now, and then the whole thing goes to your tax advisor who can then continue working with it. And I personally find that very, very, very exciting. And now he says it's already done. And if I go to the overview here, for example, I can also see that the whole thing is now grayed out. And if I look all the way to the right, you can see exported on 11.03. That means the whole thing is not just an Excel tool with which I can suddenly organize all my invoices and make my own super flexible calculations, but I can actually use it as a kind of preliminary accounting system. As I said, and I don't want to claim this at this point, it will never replace your accounting because accounting in Excel is simply not GoBD compliant. But the application possibilities are incredibly exciting. I've already said I haven't known the tool for very long, and I'm currently thinking about application scenarios myself and keep coming up with new ideas. If you have very specific ideas or questions in the sense of couldn't we somehow do this, then please let me know in the comments. If you're interested, I would actually just build a few more use cases with it, and I can ultimately prepare Excel spreadsheets for you. So I'll just link a prepared table for you below in the video description. And it's the simplest evaluation ever, namely a profit and loss statement. Here you can see all the categories that need to be filled out in such a profit and loss statement. You see the Elster position, meaning if you enter this online in Elster, where each entry needs to be made and the respective amount. And of course, you could semi-automate such an Excel tool together with the Invoicing. And with that, we come to a very important question that naturally arises now, namely, what does the whole thing cost? Of course, Excel costs something. I assume you already have Excel, as most of us do. This small plugin, this addition, the Invoicing, is a paid add-on. That means you have to pay for it separately. And the whole thing costs €9.99 per month. So, €10 a month. And with that, you have unlimited users. That means you can add it. And depending on how many people are working on your instance, that is your Microsoft 365 instance, and how many people you then share this Excel spreadsheet with, they can all work with it. You have the email receipt entry, you have the export to DATEV, you have the email forwarding, those are the receipts. Then you can basically send it via email to your Excel spreadsheet and so on. Personally, I honestly find the price more than reasonable. But that also relates to my self-employment. So I work quite a lot with Excel, and the Invoicing already saves me 2, 3, 4 hours a month for sure. If you're not sure if you have enough use cases in your self-employment for the Invoicing, you can also test the whole thing for free for 14 days. And in 14 days, you can then find out for yourself if it saves you as much time as it does for me, for example. I hope the insights in this video were exciting for you. If you have any questions about it, as always, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to help you further. Whether it's about the Invoicing, Excel, bookkeeping in Excel, invoices, whatever. Let me know. And if you now say the Invoicing looks exciting, then definitely click the first link in the video description below and just give it a try. Or just click right here. Or, and this is also a good decision, just watch another video on this channel, for example, this one or this one.